Brethren, welcome to the Sunday sermon on the Temple of Truth. Today, I implore you to please read beyond just the caption of this broadcast. Read the description as well. Like it, share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends. Tell them all that Mayegun today, that Mayegun is live. Tonight, we are starting with once upon a time promising individual who was once in the trenches and pretended, like as the most did, right? Pretended to be on the side of the people, joining others in the trenches to call out the incompetent, directionless, corrupt government in the recent past. His last adventure before this current one was when he was, like others said, he was tired of complaining about the incompetent people in government. So therefore, he was going to be the president. I am talking about Ogbeni Tope Fasua. If you belong to the trenches at the time, you probably will remember him very well. Tope Fasua. Again, if you are politically active in 2019, you will remember Tope Fasua. And they all had brilliant ideas, like, the motivational speaker, the other one, what is that his name again? The African Wahala. The other one, the aspire to perspire, require to acquire, maguire to admire. Those motivational speaker, what is that his name again? They belong to the same category, right? Anyway, fast forward to 2023. Mr. Tope Fasua found his footing within the midst of the Tinubu's political architect. God bless you. That was Veladro Toye. See, I can't even remember his name like regularly anymore. Anyway, right. Mr. Fasua found a space by the table where the destiny, well-being, safety, and prosperity of millions of Nigerians are being decided. And of course, he is no longer in the trenches. So his recent interview, and this is like the series of other nonsensical talks that is being recorded to have spewed in defense of Tinubu, because he became a special advisor, SA, to Tinubu. I don't know on what. However, he's been out recently, right? So always, by the way, like compare what life is as Nigerians are lamenting, at every given opportunity. This country is hard. This country is terrible. If you want to start any conversation, just scream Tinubu. Everybody will begin to talk about, yeah, you know what, all that stuff. So to him, this is like a privilege that Nigerians are taking for granted. If not for Tinubu, things would have been really terrible or worse. Because if you had to compare what your life is like in Nigeria to other parts of the world, you will be grateful. He is an advocate of that. You see, where the kind of people that you are going to tell them and say, Baba, I've not eaten since yesterday. I'm starving. I am so broke. And then they will look at you and be like, it's a lie, you. Look at you. You are looking fresh. Somebody who hasn't somebody who has not eaten since yesterday, they would have lost weight already. You are lying. That kind of people, right? They know what it is like, but they are just like, you are not really showing it. Like somebody said that you are fatter than your benefactor. Your benefactor is a very slim, kind of like a tiny person. But you look like, a big, comfortable person than your helper. That is going to make helping you kind of like a difficult. But it is a different thing when it comes to this court jesters who are now member of the table, and they will give you more reasons why, no matter how hard you think Nigeria is for you or for the people you know, to them, you should still be grateful because people are finding it even more difficult in other parts of the world. That if they have the opportunity that Nigerians have under Tinubu, they will be grateful, right? In an example he gave, he said, a $10 meal, you can't even eat a $10 meal in America. But in Nigeria, with 1,500 naira, somebody can have a, kind of like a meal in Nigeria. So people have been reacting to that, okay? So when he was asked that, things are very tough and the oppositions are grouping together and they would get rid of Kolu, he just blatantly, just like, dismissively, like, who are those that can remove Tinubu, or who are those that will remove Tinubu in 2027? And ironically, it seems like literally that there is no any chance of removing this Kolu. And see, there are those who believe in the power of the people. That is when the people actually knows that they have that power, okay? But for somebody like Tinubu, right, it is not a reverse psychology to discourage anybody, but it is just to further let you know the reality of the compromised system that Nigeria operates. And when somebody who is a career criminal is in charge of the state, like a country, every institution becomes a tool in his hand, and not actually to protect those institutions, okay, but for those institutions to protect his interest. In this regard, those institutions can go into like disrepute and wherever, it doesn't matter, as long as they, sort of follow his will and fit. And that's exactly what Tinubu has right now. A system whereby millions of people were said to have registered there to vote. But you know what, how that went, right? So, and this was the time when he was not fully in charge, just a little bit compromise here and there. And that got him the Astor Rock, right? Now he's making the appointment of, for these institutions who are practically just like his boys, loyal to him, do his bidding, and whatever his bidding is Nigeria's bidding. That is the philosophy, that is the theory. So who are those who will remove Tinubu? Election. Once we have free and fair election, who will conduct that? Right? It is like asking Tinubu to play Russian roulette, right? With the power that he did all he could, right? To compromise your institutions, right? Disgraced, supposed, important institutions like the judiciary, for example, that they got so compromised that they were openly defending Tinubu rather than be judges who listens to evidence. They were publicly, right, defending Tinubu. So the system is compromised. Who is going to make the people's power count that an election will, kind of like that? There are many, solutions sort of like provided by a lot of people. But they need to do a constitutional change. They need to change the electoral act. They also need to sack everybody in INEC and employ new people and all that stuff. So the question is, who is going to do that? And with what you have in that contraption, right, presently, like what happened in Edo, when Oga is interested, Oga's interest, right, supersede whatever amendment or whatever it's, because if he's still going to be the one to do it. That's why I said that it's like playing Russian roulette, right? I give him a gun and say, yeah, shoot yourself. Let's see if it's going to come out or not. In the Tinubu's case, that is never going to happen. Then you have another institution, the National Assembly. Like, can you genuinely say the Akpabiole and the House of Representatives under this Tinubu are doing anything to strengthen democracy in the truest sense of it, checks and balances? Can anybody genuinely say that? But what majority believe is that they were expected to toe the line of whatever the executive proposes, right? Because once they say it's not going to, oh, hang on. Once they say they are interested in it, it doesn't matter if it's going to hurt you, like it's currently hurting your economy, right? It doesn't matter to them. The National Assembly that was supposed to probe it, question it, and deny such checks and balances, right? They are in Tinubu's purse. Worse still, they are like, you know, like pure rubber stamp, if possibly like worse than rubber stamp. So institutions have been compromised, you get, and it is now about who can get what. As some are saying that they are pushing for one state, one party state in Nigeria. I was like, well, it's always been like one party state because the conglomeration or coming together of string bedfellows just to grab power for whatever they can make from it. They betray themselves, of course, but all their decisions are mostly to, they end up, right? All their decisions ended up hurting the people that they claim to want to serve or claim to be serving. So the likes of Tope Fasua, whose own bill is now being picked by you, Nigerians, is there to remind you that, like they did under Bukwari, it's just change of faces or change of people, right? But with the same workbook, as they denied the deteriorating state of Nigeria economy, Nigeria security, the widespread and legalizing of corruption by APC, Ebekebe, that started under Bukwari, just the same way they were, sort of like justifying those at the time, while Nigeria was bleeding and Nigerians were being bled even to death, right? It's just the same way. It's just the same thing that these characters are pushing. They want you to be grateful, right? Yeah, it's worse, or it could be worse. You should be grateful. Remember, when we took over in 2015, a dollar was 145 naira to $1. A liter of petroleum was 87 naira to 1 liter. Oh, at the time, it was practically easier for you to have your minimum wage that could buy you a bag of rice and even pay your rent for that month, kind of, right? But yeah, today, we took it to $1,900, right? In 9-10 years. Then today is now coming down to 1,600 naira to $1. Why can't you be grateful? The same characters that took it from 145 naira to straight up to 1,600 naira to $1, they want you to be grateful. Don't you know that it could have been worse? The people that condemned those, okay, that were selling a liter of petroleum with subsidy, of course, right? Oh God, I don't know if I'm going to be like going far into that route, but I have to. All right. So the same characters, right, that condemned the subsidy payments of 700 billion naira a year. Every month, right? 700 billion naira rather every year as subsidy, and people were buying a liter of petroleum at the time again, for 87 naira per liter. Those who condemned that, condemned the corruption behind that, the wastage behind that, and all of that, right? They came and took it to 1,200 naira. Then it's now down to 950 naira, okay? And to them, that should be something you should be grateful for. The guys that took inflation, I don't know if some of you even remember at all, that inflation was once in that contraption. It looks like ages ago, but this was just like 10, 11 years ago. That inflation in Nigeria was somewhere around 7.5%. And what do you call it? Food inflation in Nigeria was somewhere around 5.5% in that contraption. Today, inflation in Nigeria is more than 200 to 300%, right? Food inflation in Nigeria is more than 500% already. But they are doing the abracadabra, telling the people that, oh yeah, you see, inflation is coming down from 34% now to 24%. But in reality, on the street, in people's lives, they are wondering, where is that change? Why are we not feeling it? How come this whole thing they said they are doing, how come it's not reflecting? Come on. When a liter of petroleum jumped from 167 naira per liter straight to 630 naira per liter, everything changed just like that. When it moved from 630 naira per liter straight up to 1,200 naira per liter, everything followed. Food, or rent, or school fees, or medicals, or name it, everything followed. And the minimum wage stayed the same, sadly, which further, destroyed the people's finances and the people's health as well in this time. But to people like Tope Fasua, he believes that, number one, there's nothing you can do to remove Tinubu. Then, number two, if you are not grateful for what Tinubu is doing, definitely you are just an ordinary hater, because things are getting better in his own, where is he again? Tope Fasua. Give me one sec. Yeah, with Shemo Kimbaloye.
Can Nigeria take your word today to say they can trust the Tinubu government that he has
absolutely
their interests at heart and is going to do the right thing?
100%.
Especially at the threat that with the way it's going, this government will lose in 2027 if he decides to be on the ballot.
To lose to who? I wish them luck, but that's politics for you. I wanted to show you this. Look, local inputs and others seen driving down FMCG cost. Okay, that's business day. Forex scarcity forces manufacturers to get creative and adopt local whatever. That is a nairametrics. That's manufacturers myself below losses high local content. You can see that it's never easy. To actually get a country to get better. It's the things that we're used to. Okay, you can see several initiatives in that area. It's the things that we're used to and our habits. Are we ready to change it? Because for example, now, the average life of a Nigerian, we know that we don't like the tough life. We want to flex, we want to do our parties, we want to spend our money anyhow that we wish. We want to drive the big cars, we want to have several of them. We build our houses from scratch, and that's why the president, you see that is big on the issue of credit. To as a way of reducing corruption, you build your house from foundation to the roof without borrowing 1 naira. None of your friends who live abroad who have jackpot can do. They can't try it. You get a mortgage for 30 years, you pay. In my sojourn around the world, I tell my friend, I've never seen one of them who finished paying their mortgage. I've not seen one of them. Because usually by the time, if you are even the very strict side, you pay for 10 years and you have equity of $100,000, you want to take it, there's something you have to do with that $100,000. You're back to square one. People die and leave mortgages for their children to start battling with, Look, so our life is different here. So we have to be careful what we're asking for.
But the agitation that is growing on, can your party and this government survive it?
What agitation are you talking about? This is political agitation as far as I'm concerned.
You don't think that in reality, they are real economic...
No. I've been able to show you right here, if you would review this video, that indeed the economic part of it, we're getting out of it. This is not the time to agitate about the economy. I'm giving you that. And I put the responsibility back from federal government. I've actually brought the state governments in, local governments in, and I've also brought the private sector in, including yourself, including your platforms, including the other places, to say that, look, this is the time for you to think about all of these, younger people. What are you doing for them? If they are where they were last year is unacceptable because your company is not where it was last year. I've put the responsibility back. So I don't see what you're talking about in terms of economy. Now we can only say, okay, let's get constructive. How can we mentor?
But the narrative is not in the favor of your government.
How can we the narrative that's painted, maybe because of media sentiments, but the election will not be done in the media. If media sentiments is aligning with opposition
can the government survive
it?
Can the government survive it?
I don't see who will remove Tinubu in 2027. I don't even see where you're going to start.
With an article?
It's going to end up in frustration. Honestly, they don't even have a platform anymore. Which platform are they using? Where are all those parties? How can they pull together? So, unfortunately, the media...
Is that why the government is not very serious about...
Oh, come on. So that's why the media seems to be aligning with their sentiment. But I'm telling you, even though the media may not be collecting...
aligning with the sentiment of the people of Nigeria.
With their sentiment,
the voices of the people who are feeling the brunt.
When did opposition become the voice of the people? They can't be the voice of the people.
It is in the leg of democracy.
The people
opposition,
are wise. And apart from people
the civil
who are
society,
social media,
the media.
I have a message for especially the younger social media savvy people. You know, I'm going to tell you the truth. You may not find it very palatable, but the truth is the truth. You know, for those of you who are positive, if you curse your country, you get a curse back. You know, if you bless your country, you gotta get blessed back. This country, look, the best place for anybody to do business in the world is in the country where they're from. I did business in the United Kingdom for more than 10 years. I've done business in the UAE. I've done business in the US. I've seen that, look, where you're from is what matters. Rather than, we should build this one that we have, rather than chasing what doesn't exist all around the world. Please, you know, so look, it's not as bad, you know. Don't let anybody, and I'm talking to very young people, don't let anybody come and wind you up and get you angry for no reason, such that you now begin to wear the negativity around your body. In fact, the fact that people have